Okay, so this is going to be a video particularly about the Stil series or Stil series in PSO2. There's been a lot of videos saying you should skip the Stil series and that, and there's been a lot of discussion about that, why you should. I think, and I've been looking through a few videos, particularly I looked at on Chrome this video by Kazix or Kazox, and this video by Chrono. Even though I'm about to criticize, this is just like a small portion of the video, so I think both videos are pretty good. I prefer Chrono's video more because his reason for skipping is because of the materials required. So he goes over here, he talks about you need these weapons, and some of these are pretty difficult to get, and you don't want to waste these grand crystals, and some of the modules you need for Stil is pretty high and requires a little bit of grinding, so I can agree with his primary reason. However, I agree less with Kazik's video because he talks about I think one of his reasons for skipping is, I think the first reason was because he said there's gonna be given out for free, but Chrono said that if you look through the exchange, I believe it's the category change, you'll notice Stil isn't on there, and if you remember a lot of the last, I think it was 2 or 3 free 15 stars campaigns we got, they gave them out as gun blades in order for you to category change them, and we might get one for Cras because Cras has a category change, but Stil does not have a category change. So if they give out a free Stil weapon, a few people are going to be disappointed one way or another, and because there's no category change, unless they implement it in the future. Although JP doesn't have it, so I kind of doubt it. Maybe JP will update, and it'll be there. But I doubt that that's going to be the case. But okay, so back here, another reason they both covered this is that they looked at the potential and they said, yeah, it's 16%, but you have to go. It increases up to 16, so it's not immediately at 16%. And that was one of the other reasons why they decided to skip. Both of them said, I don't believe Kazix cites where he got his, but I know Chrono goes over into, he goes to Arc Slayer. No, not that one. Goes into Arc Sisyphone from Arc Slayer. Goes to equipment, weapons, grabs the one he's thinking about, or just a random weapon. I'm thinking about rods, so he just goes all the way down, looks at magic Stil or whatever Stil weapon is, looks at steadfast might and points out and says, see, power bonus decreases when taking damage. Now, I'm going to tell you right now that this right here is actually really misleading, just going off by the name. And if you go in I have to do this in OBS to switch which window's on top of. In PSO2, go over
What's
to
the
zig.
good word?
Assault rifles. Container Stil. Potential confirmation. Potency is lost every time damage is taken, but recovers over time. PB recovery, 60% increase, reduces damage taken. Yeah, so usually someone would, most of the time, I also saw another video by someone, they went to Zig and looked it up, but PSO2 doesn't help either, because they don't give specifics about how this potential works. And the way it's worded, it reminds you, if you go back several months back to the beginning of PSO2 when Ultimate Quests were the quest to farm, it reminds you of the Gix series, where it'd be much more powerful than, say, the Nemesis or Raven series, we were called Slave back then, but they changed it. And because they'd have a 20% potency, but you'd lose it instantly every time a certain event occurred. Like if you healed, you dodged, or you took damage. So and that was the reason why no one took it, because it was very easy to lose that potential. Very easy to lose that damage bonus. Now I'm going to tell you that Stil works a little bit differently. We're going to look at, and the way to find out how it works is you go to ARC's. You want to go to the PSO2 JP wiki. ARC's Phone is a good place to look for like general information. However, it doesn't have very specific information. I know you can see all this red. These are dead links. They don't go anywhere. So some of it isn't. It's not well curated. This place is. So if you want to go find your Stil weapon, you want to go to Equipment Items, PA, click on your weapon on the sidebar. Now you're going to see some stuff here. You'll wait for it all to translate through Google, and although Google Translate isn't a good translation, isn't like very exact with its translations, you can still have a general gist of what's going on. So you want to find your Stil weapon, and I think some of these names kind of change, but you're going to look for the Stil suffix, I guess. And you're going to want to click on that weapon. I already have it up here. I'm just going to close it. So you can see here it shows how much it changes. And then you're going to want to scroll down even more, and then you're going to see that there's a few more specifics about it, particularly here. So power is 16, but the minimum is 10%. So it's not like Gix in that you immediately lose all your power in a single attack from taking damage. It drops to just 10%, which is much better. And since you have all these SSA slots, you can, I guess, increase that minimum to make it less detrimental that you lost that power bonus. It goes down when an enemy attacks you. You take terrain damage, lava, and from things like poison or burning. And power isn't reduced from 16% down to 10% immediately. It's reduced by 3% each time. So, and you lose this after being hit twice. That's just some simple math. And the amount of increase is 0.4% per second, and it takes about 15 seconds to hit the maximum from your minimum. So you're only losing about 7 seconds worth of time if you get hit. that's already way better than the gigs, which you lose like 30 seconds to like a minute for getting hit, which is very punishing. But so already this is much better than what your initial thought of the Stil weapon series will be. There's also some other stuff. I know, looking on the JP wiki, Gix, if you switch to a weapon, the potential will be automatically reset. So if you were, say, switching from Gix to your Nemesis, your Gix's potential would reset. Like if you had 20%, you just wanted to swap to, yeah, if you just swap to something like a PP battery, although I don't think there were PP batteries back then, but if you tried to swap weapons, you'd lose that. So it wasn't very good. And for here, it won't reset if you switch to another weapon. So if you're fighting for a while and you need to switch to your PP battery, this, whatever percentage you're at, 16 or 10% or somewhere in between, it'll stay at that percent, and you won't lose your percentage even if you're hit while switch to that other weapon, but your multiplier won't, your percentage won't increase over time as well. So you could use this as, say, you could swap to your Genin or your Lightstream PP battery, and all that risk about being hit, of potentially losing that damage bonus from the switching, is gone. You don't really need to worry about your playstyle, about playing perfectly as much when you switch around your weapons. Although I still recommend you try to dodge and not tank everything. So already, just by looking at this different information, you can already see that Stil is actually much better than at first glance. And it's not, I wouldn't say it's better than Cras, because Cras has its own thing that it's already better because you don't lose that power from getting hit, but I'd say they're closer to being side grades of each other than upgrades. There's a few issues, like Stil is missing an S4 slot, which, depending on what character you're playing, and I'm gonna say it really comes down to your preference, like whether or not you want to use Cras or Stil. You can use both too, because remember this part. So you don't have to skip your Stil or Stil series. If you want it, you can still get it. So I think the best way to really understand like the considerations going into Stil series, first of all, watch Chrono's video. He does a good review of the farming you'll need to do to get your Stil series. But there's also I'm losing my train of thought. It's running away from me. But I guess I'm gonna go through like my considerations considering Stil. So I'm gonna say this: I play Phantom, and certain Phantom subs, like Tekker Phantom, and one of the, and right now on this character I have a Trailblazer Rod with its upgraded potential, so I could skip Stil series if I wanted to, and I don't. And I have it fully. I have 200 plus tech power, so I have all these S grades and other things to really help boost my damage. So I really don't have to upgrade to Stil if I wanted to. I could stay right here. But my consideration to upgrading Stil is
the good word?
Mostly down to playstyle. So if you know Phantom Rod, you're invincible for like, this is a random guess, but like 70 to 80% of the time you're playing. Like you're always casting, you're always casting grants or ill grants or D grants type 0, and you're invincible for 0.5 seconds during your casting, the start time of your casting. So getting hit isn't really very frequent, and
What's the good word?
so I'd be more likely to get this Stil potential all the way to max and maintain it for a long while. And considering how from my attempts playing Phantom solo in divides, a lot of the time I would like lose a life or die to a single hit usually. So like I'd be playing, like I'd be VS, I have to think of a boss. Oh, it'd be, yeah, like Varuna, when I was soloing that boss hit, I'd be focusing Shiva, false Shiva, Mitra, and I'd hear his audio cue for his big attack that will instant kill you, and I try to time a dodge to get out of the way, but because it's such a delay after his audio cue, I sometimes get hit and that instantly kill me. So, and I know I can handle Mitra's attack patterns and not take damage enough so that I'd not lose this potential. And I'd be able to get that. Damage reduction. Yeah, that damage resistance bonus, and potentially survive something that'd kill me in one hit. And that's a personal consideration for why I might grab a Stil. I also know that there aren't many S4s that I'm considering that I'd feel would really change up how I play the class. Maybe I have to check. Is it an S4 or an S5? I have to like switch those into OBS.
Did you bring a bunch?
It's a Rising up to like 5. Yeah, maybe if I wanted escalating pursuit from the shop, if I really considered it, I might not take Stil and wait for Cras.
See you around. Well, come on in.
So,
hello.
and there's also like you know, the farming. But so yeah, I might take, say, a Stil on Phantom, Route Phantom, since you're likely to keep this power bonus for a long time. And I also play Tecker Phantom, so I'm gonna go over to that character and you're gonna hear the game audio, but not really see it until I switch it over on OBS. So I have it. Yeah. The other consideration is also just so on this character, my Tecker Phantom, my current weapon is a Rivalate wand, which has this potential. It has a critical rate 20%, potency 23%, PP consumption reduced by 15%. And this character suffers from the same issues. Having a Phantom sub, I'm squishy, I can get one shot pretty easily. And however, I can also avoid damage because I also have I have this technique charged parry, which allows me to avoid damage every time I charge a technique for, I think it's like 0.5 seconds. It's something similar. I think it's a little bit longer, like 0.62 seconds or something like that. But yeah, I can avoid damage that way.
What's the good
So
word?
my consideration going into Stil for this character would be so for this, PP recovery is better, potency is lower, and I get PP restore every once in a while. So I also have to think.
Aye.
Liberate gives me a. So I went from this character. I went from Atlas to Liberate, and one thing I noticed was that my potency actually went down despite me having plus potential on my Liberate and my Atlas EX not being plus potential. And that was, I think, partially due to the S slots 1 through 4, and that's somewhat of an issue for me because I took, for Tecker Phantom you need to take quick casting, which reduces your tech damage but also decreases your charge time. So I want to have relatively good tech damage while still maintaining a near 100% crit rate, because Phantom Sub is a crit class, and looking at, and currently, I believe through my tree, I get 20% from shift debuff, and what was the? I need to look at the.
What would you like to do?
I have the critical stream conversion rate, which should 1/5 of my PP is converted into critical rate. So
Feel free to stop by anytime.
Hiya.
I'm at something like 40% critical rate, I believe. Yeah, 40%, 20%. And then I also have critical strike ring, which further increases it by 20% plus around about like 4%, 43% critical damage up. So I may stick with Liberate since it brings me up to 100% crit rate, but if I get deep into fixing and decide to upgrade my units so that I have very close to like 300%, I mean 300 PP or very close to it, I'd be at the point where I don't need the crit rate boost.
Hello there.
And I'd be better off equipping a Stil
What's the good word?
weapon. Plus I wouldn't be reliant on a PP battery to maintain. I'd have some innate PP restoration that wouldn't require me to get into melee range and put myself at risk of more attacks. And I'd have those extra SSA slots to boost my damage a bit more, and if I wanted to, I could make up for that crit rate while still being able to, like, I could have Skillful Adept and what was the other one? I could have Skillful Adept and whatever that other SSA was that increases crit damage. But yeah, I could still push to a crit build. I just need to alter some of my SSAs a bit. But yeah, so I might consider Stil for this one. Now I have other characters around, but I don't think they'd benefit from Stil as much. Just because they take damage more frequently because I'm not as familiar with them as I am with my two casting classes. And I think some of them have used PP so much that they'd be better off with Cras, since it gives, I think, like 20 PP every 10 seconds rather than 10. So yeah, that's my considerations for the Stil series. It's not a definitely skip in my eyes. It's more of a, you're weighing the balance of what do I need, what do I need, do I need to reduce damage, do I need more survivability, do I need more damage, what do you need that make you feel better while playing this game? It's it's much more of a playstyle consideration rather than a straight, this is bad, this is good. Or, well, no, this is good, but this thing is way better. So yeah, that's just my opinion. I'm sure other people who are seeing this, you probably have your own classes you play. That's a bad click, but you have your own classes you play that require different considerations. So yeah, please consider Stil. Don't don't listen to your... Don't purely go off of what YouTubers and... Oh, well, I am a YouTuber. Actually, yeah, don't go off what YouTubers say, like me. Don't just use my video, go look at other videos, go consider your own, based on your own playstyle, what you might choose, and make a decision for yourself. Don't give it a general blanket statement of this is bad, this is good. Yeah, that was a bit rambly, but yeah. Go have fun, I guess.